Takamura is literally insane. He pummels world ranked boxers like they are flies in the early rounds, even though he's fighting way below his natural weight class. In this video I will go over every single one of Takamura's world title fights to analyze what kind of monster he really is. You will see themes where the fights were taken seriously, where Takamura actually struggled, and other fights that were just for gags and laughs. His very first world title fight against Hawk is the ultimate display that hard work always beats talent, where Hawk only trained for 10 days for the fight while Takamura had to go through a gruesome weight cuts to even fight Hawk. This fight is one of the only ones next to Takamura's fight with Bison where he loses consciousness and lets his instincts control him. Hawk got killer intentions from Takamura, and as a result he has developed a trauma where just hearing Takamura's name triggers him to go insane. We never see what happened to Hawk, and he presumably stayed away from combat sports for the rest of his life to avoid remembering his fight with Takamura ever again. Takamura's first challenger for the junior middleweight title was Larry Bernard. Takamura tried to use the look away for the first time, only to get snapped back to reality. Takamura then completely destroyed Bernard in another 1 minute, defending his title and ultimately relinquishing it. Takamura then challenged Eagle for the middleweight title, where a significant arc was cut entirely from the anime that will be a continuous theme in all of Takamura's fights from that point. Ippo and Miyata suspected Takamura of having a detached retina, meaning he is slightly blind from one eye. Ippo confronted Takamura about his eye, where Takamura denied these claims and actually showcased that he could read from both of his eyes. However, during his fight with Hawk, Takamura's healthy eye got smeared with blood, and he could not see through it. When Eagle hit his suspected blind eye, he was not able to see at all, leaving him no other options but to fight completely blind. Surprisingly, this worked and he was able to defeat Eagle for the title. This has been a mystery that is still unanswered, and nobody is sure if Takamura is actually blind in one eye or not. However, in the upcoming fights, it highly suggests that there's definitely something wrong with not only his eye but also his leg. His first middleweight title defense was against Richard Fox, where he joked that he was going fox hunting, making a stupid attempt to be funny. However, Takamura was not playing and literally took down Fox in just 3 panels, securing his first title defense. For his second title defense, Takamura planned something special that he had never done before. Since all the Kamogawa boxers use a Sunday punch named after animals like Ippo's Gazelle Punch, Kimura's Dragon Fish Blow, Aoki's Frog Punch and Itadaki's Hedgehog, Takamura felt left out since he did not have a special kind of power or technique he could utilize to finish his opponents off. So he came up with the Beetle Punch, a punch he had perfected that took him an entire summer to master. To do the Beetle Punch, he has to get close to his opponents and punch them from below, which is basically just an uppercut. For this fight alone, Takamura dressed up like a beetle and made his way down to the ring to fight against Ricky Mouse. Takamura wasted no time and went straight on to use the Beetle Punch, only to miss it completely. Takamura then tried again and again and again, ultimately just spamming the move until he hit Mouse by pure accident with a normal punch, which caused Mouse to go down. Takamura wanted him to get back up in order for him to finally use the Beetle Punch, only for Mouse to give up and get counted out. If you guys have not noticed by now, every single one of Takamura's world title fights is against boxers with animal names, like his next challenger, Ronald Duck. Yes, Ricky Mouse, Ronald Duck. Morikawa was on a Disney binge and wanted to be a little funny. For this defense, Takamura botched his weight management. The opening act for Takamura's match was Miyata vs Rainy Boy Jr., where Miyata came out as the ultimate underdog and demonstrated a punch that was faster than light. This left the crowd stunned and satisfied enough to the point where they just left the building before Takamura's fight. This left Takamura upset as he also wanted to demonstrate something the crowd had never seen before to get them fired up. But it backfired on Takamura as he only threw wide swings and hard punches that simply did not connect. Meanwhile, Duck retaliated and avoided all incoming punches while jabbing Takamura continuously for 10 rounds straight. Takamura reached a point where he was slowly giving up and the damage was racking up on him. He then faked his dizziness completely to give Duck a straight punch, ultimately downing him. However, the crowd was not pleased with this and they booed Takamura out of the building. For his next title defense, Takamura wanted to redeem the crowd's dissatisfaction from the last fight and decided to get the crowd to like him. He painted his bear fur white so it looked like a panda, only for the crowd to go ballistic and give him legitimate heat. It got so bad that they started to cheer for his opponent Peter Rabbitson to win the fight, which he was actually doing. Takamura tried again to end the fight as soon as possible by being reckless and throwing wide punches that did not connect. It was the 12th round and Rabbit was leading with points. If Takamura did not KO him this round, he would lose the fight and his title. The crowd was just too too brutal on Takamura. Even characters like Seno and Data were roasting him, which Takamura could hear from the roaring crowd somehow. The crowd chanted Rabbitson's name, and he was baffled that the hometown boxer was getting booed. This gave him false self-confidence, and he got too eager and started to attack Takamura with heavy punches. He got too greedy and Takamura one-punched KO'd him, which infuriated the crowd, and Takamura was booed out of the building again. In a bar, Data, Moshiba, Sendo, Okita, Saiki and Kumi were discussing what a terrible performance Takamura displayed. What they didn't notice was Takamura was just sitting next to them and blocked the doors so they couldn't escape. Takamura kind of gave them a chance to redeem themselves by apologizing, only for a wasted AG Data to further roast him about how silly this panda costume looked. Takamura was ready to brawl with them, which a wasted Data accepted, and all the other characters had no other choice but to comply. They charged right at Takamura, only for Seno to fly away. All the other characters held Takamura for Data to land a finishing blow, only for the page to cut, where we see every character completely annihilated, especially Data. You might be asking at this point, doesn't Takamura ever have a serious fight in the manga? Well, his next fight is where he actually came closest to losing. His next fight is a title unification match against the WBA World Middleweight Champion Richard Bison. It is important to note that this fight had no proper build-up. It was just announced that Takamura would have his unification match. The only build-up we got was Takamura warning Ippo to not step into the world of world champions. This was right after Ippo's loss to Alfredo Gonzalez. Takamura wanted Ippo to quit boxing, since deep down he knew Ippo does not have the right mindset or drive to challenge the world champions like Ricardo Martinez, and would only get this right by them. Takamura marked a line where past this line was the world stage, and Ippo is prohibited from trespassing it, warning that this is the place where real monsters exist. Ippo did not understand, and Takamura was forced to be blunt that he has limited years left as a boxer, and cannot stay at middleweight for much longer. Takamura's fight against Bison was taken immensely seriously, so much so that the art style even changed, giving it a cinematic feel. Bison utilized the Detroit style, a stance similar to the Hitman stance, where he throws flicker jabs. Bison's flickers hit hard, making it difficult for Takamura to get into his reach, and his punches were compared to nunchaku. Takamura could not do anything for the first round, and Bison looked back at Takamura, calling him a thief. We get a flashback from Bison qualifying for the Olympics, where he lost to David Eagle, who went on to become a gold medalist and future world champion. Bison wanted to reach Eagle by challenging him one day for the title, until Takamura took the chance away from him by defeating Eagle and taking the title. Bison ultimately sought revenge and wanted to take the title that he wanted to earn by defeating Eagle. In Takamura's corner, Kamugawa and Takamura had no plan and were arguing, with Kamugawa sarcastically suggesting that Takamura asked Bison for a strategy. Takamura then observed how Bison was utilizing the flickers and copied his style. Takamura's jab was compared to that of a chain mace and did really hurt Bison as they went on a flicker fight. Takamura was driven into the corner and asked the Kamugawa boxers what he should do. Aoki gave the most obvious of answers, for which Takamura promised Aoki would be dead meat. When Takamura was driven into the corner again, he asked the same question, and it was Kimura's turn to answer, giving a half-hearted praise. Takamura also promised Kimura he would be dead meat. Bison was still somewhat dominating the fight and managed to land a good shot on Takamura, putting him in an unconscious state by the end of the round. Ippo screamed at Takamura, encouraging him to do his best, which motivated Takamura to get back into the ring. Upon being driven into the corner, Takamura now asked Bison what he could do, and Takamura answered his own question by stating that he could do anything. This was the moment Takamura found the momentum and landed the perfect punch to bring Bison down on the mat. Bison got back up, and Takamura suggested that now would be the best time to start infighting. They started going at it with minimal dialogue and very dynamic paneling for the fight. A double exchange occurred and Takamura was the only one man standing, praising himself on how good of a boxer he is. Bison was getting desperate and had no other options left. Out of desperation, he threw a left hook that normally any other boxer would see coming, but shockingly Takamura just ate the incoming punch with full force. Bison capitalized on this for the remainder of the fight, only threw left hooks that Takamura could not dodge. Coach Kamugawa realized something was wrong with Takamura and suspected he was blind in his right eye. Takamura was still able to land solid hits on Bison. However, as the match continued, something else started to get weird. Takamura's right foot was becoming less and less durable, and he could not put his weight on it. Kamugawa tested if his eye was alright and came to the conclusion that Takamura must have injured his leg. And the bell rang again. Takamura was barely standing on his right leg anymore, and he was literally dragging it because of the pain. Bison charged right right-sided Takamura and gave him a barrage of left hooks. Takamura was driven into the corner where Bison continued his onslaught with punches. The situation was getting more dire and Takamura began to get desperate, but the punches would not stop coming and he was bleeding from the ear. Kamagawa could no longer watch his boxer getting toyed with like this and was about to throw the towel to stop the match. Thankfully, Aoki was quick to grab the towel before it entered the ring, allowing the match to continue. Bison wanted to end the match with one last devastating blow. Takamura had the flashback to when the Kamagawa gym had their first summer training camp over 1,000 chapters ago. Takamura remembered teaching Ippo the importance of using the toes when shifting his weight, which Takamura now utilized, putting all his pressure on his toe from his right leg to stop Bison's punch. Takamura capitalized on this and countered Bison with his own right hook. Bison wanted to end the fight now and Takamura obliged, putting all his pressure on his right foot. He countered Bison again, finally bringing him down and winning the match. Takamura had now become the unified world champion, and this boosted his ego even further, prompting him to make fun of the crowd. The crowd was not pleased and booed him out of the building again. Takamura explained to Ippo what it takes to have a champion's mindset, saying that there are millions of people with the same dream, but only one person can remain at the top. Achieving something like this is truly extraordinary for an average person, so only a handful of monsters have this kind of mindset. When it came to defending both titles, Takamura first defended them against Keith Lycaon. This was right after Ippo's last professional fight, where Takamura got heated up by seeing Ippo lose for the second time in a row, and went straight to the match intending to get the crowd fired up after Ippo's lackluster performance. Lycaon gave Takamura a left straight, only for Takamura to throw a destroyer right and end the match in only a few seconds. Takamura then made fun of Ippo and his retirement match, calling it a waste of time, which got the crowd heated again, and he was once again escorted out of the building. He even kicked Aoki on the street to stop a taxi, proving that Takamura is literally the biggest menace in anime history. In Ippo's retirement arc, Takamura had his last middleweight title defense against Michael Goat. Takamura being vulnerable to left hooks was well known now, and Goat targeted Takamura's right side throughout the fight. It took Takamura 2 rounds to finish it, but he got the job done. As a tradition, Takamura boasted how awesome he is, which turned the crowd against him, and he was escorted out of the building again. Later in the story, the super middleweight world champion accepted Takamura's challenge for the title, and the fight was set. The champion was Keith Dragon, whose entire shtick is that he has the goddess of fortune by his side. On the day of their arrival, typhoons were all over Japan, only to randomly disappear when his plane was landing. He loves Mahjong so much that he is even able to win against world champion Mahjong players. During the build-up, Ippo was concerned about Takamura's luck and kept an eye on him to ensure no freak accidents happened before the fight. The entire build-up focuses more on Ippo as he tries to figure out what a true world champion is. He goes undercover with Yagi to play Mahjong with Dragon and notices that Dragon uses his left fist as his dominant arm, meaning he is a southpaw. Miyata also notices something while Dragon is sparring in his gym, that his dominant arm is his left, even though he fights as an orthodox boxer. Despite precautions, Takamura got involved in an accident, saving a child from a car crash and further injuring his already messed up foot. Takamura even went to a shrine to pray the day before the weigh-ins. It later turned out he was only praying to hook up with Yamaguchi later the day and not for his actual fight. But on the actual day of the fight, Takamura and Dragon got straight to it. For a round, they fought intensely without any dialogue or interruptions, just beautifully choreographed action and paneling. In the second round, something began to change for Takamura. You see, this is now the super middleweight class, and Takamura is a natural heavyweight. So the more weight classes he moves up, the closer he reaches his maximum potential. He never belonged in the lower weight classes and is now essentially too strong, overwhelming Dragon in the second round. At the end of the round, Dragon even started to pray to God for the fortune to fight against Takamura. This is where things took a turn for the worse. Takamura awkwardly landed on his right leg and messed it up even more. Dragon took a chance and delivered left hooks without end. Takamura was driven into the corner, absorbing all the oncoming damage, and was only saved by the belt because he could not do anything anymore. In the next round, Dragon continued where he left off, but by now Takamura was used to his hook and countered Dragon with a devastating right straight of his own. Dragon was now at his limit and decided to switch to his natural southpaw stance. This meant if this left hook connected, it could send Takamura to sleep forever. Takamura managed to dodge the hook, which peeled some of his skin off. Dragon tried to hook Takamura again, but Takamura sent one hook of his own and ultimately won the match, conquering 3 weight classes. What are your thoughts on Takamura and his world title fights? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you've enjoyed this video then please please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more Hajime no Ippo content. I'm the Reading Crow and thanks for watching.